Okay, just thinking aloud really today. I was talking with a friend this morning who was going through a very challenging, or is going through a very challenging situation. And I really my heart went out to them because I was thinking, boy, I can really see how that's going to be tough. And it's probably something that's going to take a while. And then it got me thinking that in some ways, it was reflecting back to me the challenge we're all met with every day in a way, which is how we meet and engage with what's being presented to us in our world. And you've heard me talk about this a lot, if you've seen any of my work, which is that my point of view is there is this greater reality of self, which I call the who I am, that's entirely positive in nature. And that is certainly the most effective place from which to engage with your world. But we also all have some version of ideas about self that are less than that, which I describe as being self-doubt. And you could think of that self-doubt as having been formed by earlier experiences that you've had that may have been difficult, painful, traumatic, or whatever. And they led you to have beliefs about yourself, about others, about the world. And so in some ways you could relate to this experience of self as being one founded on hurt or unresolved hurt, etc., pain, etc. And what often happens, especially when we're met with particular challenges, is that we kind of default to experiencing and engaging with those challenges from this place, because all of that hurt and pain is up, it's triggered, as people say. And so we're relating through the prism of the hurt, or the prison would be a good word. And I'm not for one moment, and I certainly wasn't saying to my friend, hey man, don't worry about it, just relate to it from the greater reality of who you are, it's all cool. Maybe in the greater sense that's true, but that's probably not very helpful, because the reality is that they're in their pain and that they're on a journey, and it may take some time to work through it. But what I am suggesting is that the opportunity for all of us is to bring the greater reality of who you are, that positive aspect of self, which is one that is loving, understanding, compassionate. You bring that into the hurt and the pain and the unresolved issue. Because I think what sometimes we do is we try and pretend this isn't here. We try and sort of power through. And maybe there's value in that. But you're not really resolving it. And it's not really very sustainable. But if you can bring the loving, the compassion, the understanding, that greater reality of who you are to those unresolved hurts as you're going through the difficult thing, you may find that you're actually able to expand that experience of self out beyond the constraints of this pain and this hurt. It actually becomes something more like resolved. Even if it's not gone completely, you're able to navigate it better, such that you can then relate to the challenges you're being met with from that greater reality. So I don't think that's easy, but I do think in some ways it's what we're all being met with every day. And it becomes, I think, really powerful to notice in each moment, really. Am I coming from an experience of self that's whole? Or am I coming from an experience of self that's in some ways hurt, unresolved? And that's not a bad thing. It's a very human thing. But the opportunity is to continually expand that experience of self that's whole, into and beyond those unresolved hurts. Those are my thoughts for today.